Alright there guys, so it's now time to finish up our Appaloosa spots on our horse. So the last video that you saw, you were doing the light gray mapping for your horse. Then what you're going to do is you're going to make sure you like everything, and then of course spray, let it sit, come back, and then of course you have just this. And don't worry, if you want to add more spots, you can always add more spots. It's endless to the amount of spots you can add, but can't take them off once they're sprayed, of course. So the next step that we have to do is we're going to do the black. So we have our black. Kind of shake it up there a little bit. Put some black onto our pan. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to take the black and we are going to fill in the area of the spot, but leave a small amount of gray on the outer edge. So you can see right here, right there. So there's black and then a small amount of gray on the outside, and as you can see I made it kind of jagged and it's not really circular. Remember what I said about the Appaloosa spots not being circular or even oval? They're usually kind of jagged and they're not really the same. They're supposed to look disformed, if you want to use that term. And then of course, you know, you can take your black and then add just some regular black spots around. Like so. Okay. So basically, you do this everywhere you want. It's up to you, and it's up to your reference photo if you're following one. Especially if you're a new artist, I recommend following a reference photo because, you know, like I said in the previous videos, we do have a tendency to want to make things in a pattern, and this we don't need to do that with. So this is going to take you a while, of course, and you know, it'll be some time for you to finish up all your spots and where they need to be and where you like them and where they need to be and everything else under the sun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up here a couple of these, and I'm actually going to move on to doing his feet along with doing some other things with this horse, because of course I want to finish up this tutorial, and you guys don't need to watch me for 4 or 5 hours painting all these little dots on this guy. What the little dots. So that's what we're going to do here in a second. I just want to kind of finish up some of these so I don't lose my track of where you know, I am and so forth. But remember that, you know, you can add smaller dots like so. Let's see there. You know, add smaller dots, you can add bigger dots. Just kind of follow your reference photo, or if you know how leopard Appaloosas are supposed to be, then you eventually will get a mind's eye for it. But of course it does take time. You can also leave some of the spots there as ghost spots, which are just the light gray. You don't have to fill them in, they just stay light gray. And I like to do that with some of my spots You can also do cat tracks. Cat tracks basically look like a little kitty walked over the horse. Just go on Google and just type in, you know, cat tracks Appaloosa or something like that, and you should be able to find pictures that show the differences in that and so forth. So there's that. I'm gonna go ahead and stop that for now because, like I said, you guys don't need to watch me 4.5 hours doing this, because that's how long it probably will take me to do. It could take me even longer, just depending on, you know, how I like things. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do his markings next. So the commissioner wants a looks like a stocking actually on his right front. So she wants a snip on him, pretty wide snip actually. So, alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to do that now. I'm going to pull out my white, put some white on there because that's what I need to do. I need to do his white. I'm going to go ahead and take my brush, and basically with white markings, it's, if you watch another one of my videos on doing markings, you'll see that I'll show you how to apply it, what you need to do, how to do it, how to get it nice and smooth so it actually looks like a real marking and it doesn't look like paint slobbered on the horse. So with this horse, she wants the marking on, whoop, can't see me, on this foot, which is his right front. And she kind of gave me kind of a general area of where she wants it to be, so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of just do that. So, and then of course, you know, you need to make sure that you pull down the paint, and you always have to make sure that with white markings, you do a very, very thin first layer. You don't want to just slobber on the white paint. With white markings, you always do it in very, very, very thin layers. And like I said, go ahead and watch my full tutorial on painting white markings. And you'll be able to see exactly what I do, and other tips and tricks, especially if you are having problems with white markings, because it seems like that's the problem that everybody has recently is white markings. So I recommend watching that video, so go ahead and do that. Whoops, I touched it. Whoopsie. Oh well, gotta have another coat anyways. Okay, so she also wants a snip on this guy, so we'll do that as well. So of course you're going to need pink, or let me see here, where's my pink? Ah, here it is. Okay, so got a cat hair. Alright, so this is actually skin tone. I actually like to buy my skin tone, and I will actually mix it with white until I get a fairly light peachy color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some on here, and I don't need a whole lot, just a little tiny drop since we're doing peach on this, you know, doing a snip on him. So I'm going to take my white, and just a very small amount of this peach color. Okay, so you can see here. Here is the, oh, can you see? Yes, you can. Okay, so here's the peach color, and here's the color I mixed. It's a very light peach. So now I gotta figure out how the heck I'm gonna hold this guy without smearing anything. Okay, so I'm gonna use a smaller brush here because he's got such a small, dinky little nose. All right. Of course, you can water it down a little bit to help get what you want. But I've actually noticed recently that the quality of acrylics has gone down quite a bit, especially some of the more expensive brands, which I used to purchase, but they have just gotten way too outrageously expensive in cost, so. Alright. So can you see me? No, you cannot see me. All right, hold on. Let me see here. I gotta figure out how to put this guy down. Okay, so he doesn't have any spots there. All right. Oh, this will work just fine. Okay, we're gonna do this upside down. Okay, so she wanted kind of a broad snip, which included the nostril. So she kind of, you know, gave me a rough outline of what she wanted, but so basically it's the same thing with white markings. You do it in very, very thin layers. And it's just basically just doing it thin layers like you would any other color. And you always do it thin. Like I said, you don't want to put this on thick, because if you do put it on thick, it won't turn out right. It'll become grainy. It'll look terrible. It'll just be absolutely horrendous. So you can see here that he's got a very, very, very thin layer of the peach on there. And of course, I'm going to let that dry. And then I will add more after that. So, but there you can see there's a little pinky nose. Okay, so what we're going to do now while that's drying, because I'm trying to finish this up in this last video, is we are going to go ahead and start working on his feet. Because we're at 11 minutes here, and I'm going to probably do this for about 21 minutes or so forth, I'm hoping. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do his feet next, his gray feet to be more exact. So of course you're going to need black and your white, and you're going to be mixing up a very, very, very kind of a light gray color. You can buy the light gray from the store already light gray, but I don't generally like to do that just because I like to be able to make my own gray so that I can determine how dark, how light I want it, and be able to blend it and mix it and so forth. So, okay. So you can see there, right there, that big old spludge. That's going to be my light gray color. Okay? So what we're going to go ahead and do is I always recommend doing the bottom of the horse's feet first that are going to be gray. So that's any area that does not consist of a white marking. Anywhere where there's a white marking is actually going to be a sandy color hoof. And you can't see the bottom of his feet. Perfect. Let me move this up a little. Hold on, guys. Let me move this up. Whoa. Can you see his feet now? Oh, whoa. All right, that's a little better. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'm trying the best I can here. Okay, so like I said, do the bottom of the feet first, because that's going to be the area that you're going to have to put him down on. And you want to make sure that this is dry. And of course, it will take probably several coats to completely cover the hooves itself. So I always just do that first just to get it out of the way. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to follow the outline of the hoof. Now, with some of the older models, the artists do not make a very clean culinary band, which is the top of the hoof where the hairline is and where the hoof grows down. So, on some of the older models, you may find that, is there any wet on him? No. Okay, so you may find that some models have this very, very crooked culinary band. And you're actually going to have to go in and actually make it straight with your paintbrush. Try to make it as even as possible. So you can see here how I have a nice, very circular band around there, so it's nice and even with the culinary band. Horses generally do not have lopsided culinary bands unless they've had an injury causing something to happen. You'll also see that with a lot of horses that have very bad growth in their feet, and it's usually crooked and they'll have a crack there or something, is because the culinary band got damaged, so it's no longer growing back the way that it should if they didn't have any damage. So basically do that with all 4 feet. And on the back of the bulbs of the foot too, you gotta make sure you go all the way around. And make sure to also look at some reference photos for horses' feet to get a better idea of how they look and when I'm talking about the bulbs of the foot. And sometimes, guys, I do get my anatomy and my physiology wrong. I did just finish my horse practitioner certificate, but occasionally I do have my fart days and I can't remember a squat or I can't remember a thing and I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. So if I say something wrong, don't mind me. Okay. So basically we have our our dark colored hooves done. Now, of course, we cannot do the sandy color hoof because of the white marking. So, you know, you will have to keep adding layers to your white markings until you're satisfied that it's 100% covered. And, you know, with your gray hooves, you may have to add another coat depending on your acrylic paints, how thick it is. Just depends on a lot of things, really. So make sure that if you do have white markings on your horse, that you do get them all the way covered. And remember that when you do the horse's hooves, make sure that you have time to hold the horse, because I don't recommend putting the horse down until the bottom of the feet are dry. Just because it will take the paint off and it will in fact sometimes leave a very, very weird looking textured on the bottom when you go and put another coat on top because of it. So I always recommend just holding the horse, and you know, if your parents are yelling at you or whatever, just tell them, say, hey, you know, I'm waiting for something to dry, just hold your horses and wait for me to get finished. So, because of course, you know, this will take about I would say maybe 15 minutes I'd give it, just to be on the safe side, depending on your conditions and so forth. But of course, if you don't have this side of your horse done wet with your Appaloosa spots, you can put them down, just like that. So that's that. I'll probably have to do another video because of the not being dry. But let me see what time here we're at. We're at 17 minutes, so yep, I gotta finish up here, guys. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start finishing up his Appaloosa spots. I do have a video for doing model's eyes, so make sure to refer to that to see how I do that. I do it many different ways, but that was the easiest way that I could show you guys how to do it. But of course, you know, all of this comes with knowledge and practice and just learning and trying over and over and over again. And of course, you know, I have done so many models and so many horses that I have learned how to do this. So if you don't get it right, don't get mad at yourself. Just do it on a cheap model, do it on a stablemate, and just work there. So yeah, but make sure you guys stay tuned for a second video, and we'll continue on from there with this horse, and hopefully we will be done with him pretty soon.